Hey everybody, Chris Revis here, brand specialist with Alpine Electronics. Today I have a special guest, Dan Greenwood, also a brand specialist with Alpine Electronics. What we're going to do is take a little time to show you how to set this PXE-0850S processor. We're going to kind of walk you through. So whether you're watching the video beforehand so you know what to look at, or if you're going to watch this while you're actually getting everything set up and pausing it along the way, we're going to get you where you need to be. So Dan, why don't you talk a little about our system setup here?
Yeah, thanks. So we're going to throw a little diagram up on the screen for you guys. And this is kind of the, we'll call this a mock system that we're doing today. As you can see, we're using an ILX F309 as our source unit. You can also just consider this to be like an aftermarket radio, and we're using the pre-outs. So as you can see, we're going to be using the front, rear, and sub pre-outs of the radio. And we're running those right into the aux ends or pre-ends on the processor. They are going to be labeled aux, so we'll notate that for later. Then we're using our new R series 6-channel amplifier. We're going to run 4 channels out of the front to the front tweeters and woofers. We're going to run those active. Really take advantage of the crossovers in the processor. And we're also taking advantage of the internal built-in power of the processor. And we're going to let those run the rear speakers full range. That way we don't need to add another amplifier to the system. And of course, we also have our subwoofer. It's going to be bridged off of channels 5 and 6 of the amplifier. So we're going to be able to control that through the processor as well. So one thing I want you guys to notate here is the channel numbers. So the channel numbers are important because that's going to be what outputs of the processor that we have identified to each speaker. For example, channel 1 will be the front left tweeter. Channel 2 will be the front right tweeter. Channel 3, front left woofer, and so on. We're going to want to know that. That way we know what crossovers to apply in the processor and also what to label it. And we're going to be going over that today. And the reason why that's really important is you don't want to send a wrong crossover to a wrong speaker. For example, you don't want to send a subwoofer crossover to your tweeter. You can say goodbye to that tweeter if you do that. And just one click can really mess up your day. So we definitely want to avoid having a subwoofer, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
not
right.
Not to our tweeter. So
that's right. Exactly. So let's go ahead and take a look at the software here. All right, guys. So now we are on the processor screen, and I'm actually going to plug the USB cable in because you can see right here that we are not connected. We are disconnected. So once you plug the USB cable in, you'll see that very quickly it synchronizes, and now we're connected. So any changes we make from now on are actually going to be written to the processor. And the way that's saved is by doing the preset store. And we're going to talk more about that in a second, but that's how you save all your changes to the processor's internal memory. And the way that you actually maybe back up everything you've done to your computer is on as a file save. And you can save the individual presets or all presets. I normally do all presets because it just makes it a lot easier. So kind of going to walk over just the main screen here. This is all of our channel mapping area. And as you can see, it's already populated with certain speakers and certain diagram. This is not what we're going to be doing. So Chris will be showing you guys how to fix all that here in just a second. This is we'll be talking about these buttons here in just a moment, as well as I mentioned the presets. This is our source input, our visual for our channel mapping. So the whole right side of the software is our tuning. So we'll start at the top. We have our visual for our EQ, as well as all of our sliders. Down here, we can actually change between parametric and graphic EQ, which is really cool and very powerful tool. I normally recommend parametric because you can really dial in your sound. Down here, we're going to have all the crossover settings, as well as our phase and channel muting, channel volume, and of course delay. Now this is going to correspond to whatever channel you have selected up here. So whenever you select that output channel, all of this is going to reflect that channel. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and get us started there?
all right, so check this out. This is not what we want coming out of this processor for the diagram that we showed you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to reset this unit. When we select all, you're going to notice all of our outputs are nullified. So let's go ahead and set this up just like we showed you in the diagram. You're going to have drop-down menus for your left side and your right side, and you'll be able to select any speaker that hasn't been picked out yet. So channel 1 is our front right tweeter. Let me show you on there really quick. We got our representation up here on the EQ showing you the crossover, right? It's populated down here, showing you that we have actually selected that speaker. Very important down here is the crossover frequency. This is kind of a default. It's kind of a protection crossover network there. You can go through depending on what the tweeter is calling for and set everything up right down there. So we're gonna go ahead and select channel 2, which is gonna be our front right tweeter. Once again, we got our representation up here on the graph. You can see we're populated down here. Pay attention to that frequency. So we're gonna kind of do a speed up here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop everything in and show you what we're gonna do afterwards. All right, so now everything's been mapped out. Very important here. One of our favorite features on here is store. What we want to do is every time we're making adjustments, we want to store it in here, and it's going to store it into the processor. Very important, because if the customer changes the battery or who knows for what reason, it's going to keep this preset stored in here. On this one, we're going to go on preset 1, and you're able to label this whatever you want. So for this application, let's just go bass. Once you hit OK, transmits the data, and now it is all set. So now we have all the outputs figured the way we want. Let's go to the input. Default here is the high level, but as we showed you in our previous diagram, we're using our RCA outputs from our 309. When you select down here, it's going to give you your different input options. Aux is considered RCA. We're going to go ahead and select that. Now we got music coming into the processor, and we're going to have it passing through our processor. I'm going to go ahead and store that again. I can store on the same preset. I don't need to change the name. I hit OK, and now it saved it. So now my input is saved and also my output. So now what we're going to do is make sure our inputs and our outputs match. So Dan, you want to go ahead and go over mixer a little bit?
Absolutely. So we're going to click this mixer button here. And like Chris said, we also want to make sure that we are on the correct source that we're going to be using. Okay, for in this case, it'll be aux. The reason why is it'll only let you affect what source you have selected. So for example, if we were on high level, which will be like if we're using a factory radio, high level will be what we're able to adjust. Okay, so we're going to use aux. Now we're also going to make sure that we're selected on the correct channel. Now to note, what easy way to look at the mixer is you select your output, and on this side of the screen is you're telling it what you want the input to be. So you're saying, hey, I want aux 1 going into the processor to be the source for this output. And the easy way to look at it is you look at it as front left, front right, rears, subwoofer, and so on. Okay. And the reason why is we want the balance and the fader functionality to all work like it should. So we're going to be select on channel 1, which is a front left channel, and we have aux 1 is coming from the front left output of our Halo 9. So that's perfect. We're already set. We want 100% signal of front left, and that's it. So cool. We're going to leave that. We're going to select channel 2, which is a front right tweeter, and aux 2 is the front right output of our radio going into aux 2. Perfect. That thing is right as well. We just want to go through here to make sure that all these are correct, and if they aren't, we'll fix them. So now we'll take a look at the other front left channel, which is a woofer. Hey, it's aux 1, perfect. Aux 2 on the right side, perfect. Now we're looking at the rears. Aux 3 is our left rear input, perfect, we're already set. As well as aux 4 being our rear right input. Now when we get to subwoofer, this is saying, hey, we're actually mixing the left side's front and rear for you. We actually don't need to do this because we're using a radio as a sub output. And I also want to notate that this is actually something you don't want to do. You want to avoid this. You want, if you do any summing, you don't want your values to add up to over 100. So one new thing you can do is select 5 and 6 are our subwoofers inputs. We can do a 50 and a 50, and that can make a mono signal, right? Or you can do 100 on one channel, 100 on the other. Just so you guys can get a better idea, we'll do 50-50 here. And we'll go ahead and take these sliders down on channel 8. And we'll go ahead and do a 50-50 on this one as well. And that's actually creating a true mono signal. It's really unnecessary for this setup, but it totally works. And then when you're done, we'll go hit the EQ button back, and we're back to this screen. And just like Chris, my favorite thing is to store it. So that's going to make sure that you have a save point, just in case. You never know if power gets lost while you're tuning. You always want to have a safe point.
Yeah, you don't want to do all this work and then lose it.
Exactly. So now we are on the right source. We have our channels mapped. We have some basic crossovers already applied to make sure that all of our speakers are going to play in the range that they should. And we also made sure our mixer's good. At this point, I would say go ahead and try some music, play it, make sure everything's playing like it should, and make sure, go through, make sure the front left is playing on the front left, and so on. And once you're good there, then you're ready to start tuning the vehicle. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Chris?
No, just hopefully this gets you a little bit more comfortable with our 0850S processor. Like I said, watch it beforehand if you know you got an installation coming in, or if you just want to learn about the processor. Once you're actually doing the installation, go ahead and watch this video again and pause it as you're going along the way. We're going to get you to where you need to be. Yeah, keep an eye out for some future videos from us. We'll maybe dig in depth a little bit more if we need to on this processor. And that should be it. So thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Thanks, guys.